Before we get into the video, I need to add a quick disclaimer for you guys. Please do not go and harass anyone mentioned in this video, as I do not condone harassment. I just am here to talk about my personal experience, not get defended with it. Also, this video contains heavy topics such as sexual abuse, manipulation, emotional and mental abuse, physical abuse, guilt tripping, and the list goes on. This video is for more mature audiences. Please proceed with caution as you watch. Thank you and enjoy the video. I never wanted to make this video, as it's really no one else's business to what happened. But he is continuously pulling false shit out of his ass, even 4 months after the whole situation. So here we fucking are. He can't stop telling people lies about everything that happened, and I'm not going to sit idly by and allow it. He will not silence me any longer. I am taking back my power from him. You may be asking, Allie, what encouraged you to make this video? Well, the answer is simple, my dear friends. One of my idols, Whisper Demon, spoke up about his personal experience with abuse from his former friends/living arrangements a couple of days ago. But his video unfortunately got taken down by his former living arrangements. And that got me thinking, if he can speak up about his experience with abuse, then why can't I? Well, dear listeners, here we are. And to those of you who are still in his life who may be watching this video, go ahead and send him this link. I really don't care. He will not shut me up any longer than he already has. He's hurt me for far too long, and I've had enough. I'm done. Now, for the proper intro. Hello, my dears. Allie VA here. I apologize that I have to even make this video, but I am fed up with the situation, and I don't want to be quiet anymore. For context, I had an ex-boyfriend of 2 years. We'll call him Carnage. We recently broke up in August. For the past 4 months, he's been turning everyone who I cared about against me, spreading false shit about who I am as a person, and overall, just being a coward who can't own up to his shit. I am here to cover the situation and explain what really happened during that relationship, something that this little-ass child is too cowardly to confess and admit. Also, I will be providing some evidence to back up my claims. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The first event I want to discuss first is his manipulation tactics against me. Also, I will be providing evidence for this segment, so trigger warning. When I would want to break up with him and or tell people about his abusive behavior towards me, he would threaten to end his life to manipulate me into staying with him. He would also guilt-trip me with petty-ass doubts he had about himself and or the relationship, which I find fucking hilarious, because to be quite frank, when he wanted to leave the relationship, I had to be fine with it, right? However, as soon as I wanted to leave because of his behavior with me, I had to stay. I didn't get the choice or option to leave. He would force and scare me to stay with manipulation. But I digress. Also, another manipulation tactic he would use on me is victim blaming himself when he didn't get his way. For example, back in April of this year, me and him went to a park together to hang out with a few of his friends. Those friends had a history of physical violence towards innocent people, so as any normal and sane human being would feel, I didn't feel safe. Because of said feelings, I ran away from him and the park. Apparently, that caused the physical violence to spark within his friends, and my life got threatened that day. What did my ex do? Absolutely nothing. He just stood there and let it happen. His excuse? It caught me off guard, and I was taken aback. Okay, fine, I get that. But as your girlfriend at the time, you should have still done something. Later that night, post the event at the park, he started blaming me, saying if you hadn't run off like that, your life wouldn't have been in danger. Like, I was running away to prevent that from happening? How the hell is that my fault? Another example is when he said something to hurt my feelings, so I ran away from him while we were outside. I get it, that wasn't the smartest decision, given that I was in an unfamiliar place where I could have gotten lost and or abducted. But that still doesn't give him the excuse to do what he did towards me afterwards. His main concern was teaching me a lesson rather than keeping me safe. Because of that, when we got back to his house, he started screaming at me saying, if you didn't act so childish all the time, I wouldn't be treating you this poorly right now. What kind of a boyfriend are you to say that to me? You hurt my feelings, and you have the audacity to call me childish? Get a grip, dude. Those are only a couple examples out of the many other manipulation tactics he used against me. I'm not going to explain all of them because I want this video to be under 40 minutes, so to save time, there's the manipulation segment of his abuse. Moving on from that, I now want to discuss his threatening behavior towards me. More proof for this segment, by the way, so obvious trigger warning. What do I mean by threatening behavior? He'd send videos of himself pretending to hurt me / kidnap me with knives. More on the kidnapping thing later. I'm about to show you all a couple of videos he sent me to provide evidence to back up my claim. Huge trigger warning, and please proceed with caution.
I'm coming! I found you. You see this long sharp knife? Poke, poke. Poke, poke.
Need I say more on the matter? This is completely vile and disgusting. And I truly wish I had seen the red flags when these events happened. But I digress. Another mere example of him threatening me is when the breakup first happened, and I started speaking my truth. He found out that I was, and threatened to make a video about what really happened if I didn't start telling the truth. He made that video, by the way, but deleted it soon after out of embarrassment, I'm assuming. Which, good, I hope you feel embarrassed because you're disgusting. To save time, that's all I'm gonna say about the threatening matter. But just know, I have a lot more instances than just that to share. Next, I want to talk about his physical abuse towards me. Also, yes, I will be providing screenshots for this segment along with the other two previous ones, so major trigger warning. When I was over at his house in August, I had an accident occur on the way home from a park we were at. We were with two of his friends. I tripped on the staircase to his apartment complex, and I busted my knee open. I started screaming, and what did he do? Started blaming me. For context as to why he started blaming me, before we left the park, I saw something distressing on Instagram. I won't be sharing what it was I saw due to privacy reasons, but Carnage asked what was wrong, and I told him I would talk about it at his house. He took that as me pushing him away, and started throwing a temper tantrum like a fucking 5-year-old. Fast forward to when I got hurt. He started yelling at me and said, if you hadn't pushed me away, you wouldn't have gotten hurt. What the fuck kind of logic is that? Also, it's my fault I got hurt? Is that what you're saying? Think again, man. Anyways, fast forward later that night when everything calmed down. Me, him, and his friend were sitting there in his room just chilling. We were joking around about something that I can't remember at the moment, but I remember saying out loud as a joke, I want to feel more pain. Guess what, guys? Carnage took my joke literally and decided to actually slap me across the fucking face. We used to play fight, but this wasn't a gentle slap like it usually was. This one was more real and severe. It hurt like hell, and he had the audacity to laugh about it. Look at his friend, and then tried to get him to give him a thumbs up. How more evil can a person get? Also, another example of him physically hurting me was a couple of days later after the hitting incident. He decided to bite my neck like a fucking vampire and leave a mark. Screenshot will be provided here. He heard me groan and whine in pain, yet he continued, saying he was giving me a hickey. I never consented or gave him permission to give me a hickey in that moment. He just went ahead and did it when I was trying to sleep. Anyways, to keep the video under 40 minutes, we're gonna move on to the next segment. Now, I want to discuss the more serious things he did to me. Huge trigger warning, by the way, because this segment includes topics of kidnapping and sexual abuse. I'm going to go over the kidnapping section first since it's less triggering than the other one is, at least for me. The Thursday before I was supposed to go back home, I left on Sunday 3 days later. His friend went over to Carnage's house to retrieve my stuff and his stuff. He was allowing me to stay with him until I went back home since Carnage kicked me out. In an unfamiliar place, may I mind you. My dad's wallet was there, and I had asked his friend to retrieve it for me, since I no longer wanted Carnage to have it in his possession. I let him keep it a few weeks prior. When his friend requested for it back, you want to know the stupid excuse Carnage gave? I owned it for longer than 30 days, therefore it belongs to me now. If she truly wants it that badly, she could come get it herself. First of all, the 30-day ownership rule isn't valid and it doesn't work that way, because that was my dad's wallet. I am his daughter, therefore I have a right to it. You don't get to have ownership of something that once belonged to my father after I say that you can't. Second of all, I did have to go get it myself, but at the expense of something horrific happening to me. What is it, you may ask? He promised to give me back my wallet, and I could walk away scot-free. But surprise, surprise, he lied. What did he do instead? Lured me in with my dad's wallet and held me hostage at his house for 7 hours straight. In other words, he kidnapped me. He wouldn't allow me to leave. It wasn't until I broke and snapped at him then that he decided he didn't want me in the same house as him, so he reluctantly let me go with my dad's wallet. I have never been kidnapped before, so that was the most traumatic thing that I have ever went through. I was literally crying out for help, and he looked like he wanted to hit me again the entire time I was there. You may be asking at this point, Allie, why the hell did you tell the police? My dear friends, it's not that I don't want to, it's that I can't. Because one, he scared me into not telling the police and used manipulation tactics to get me to shut up about the whole ordeal. And two, the police where I live don't do shit. He lives 4 hours away from me anyway. What would they be able to do even if they did care? Anyways, moving on from the kidnapping segment and onto the sexual abuse section. Major trigger warning for this because there's a lot of graphic content for this. When I was over at Carnage's house in August, he decided to get overly sexual with me. He would go to the bathroom with me when I actually needed to use it, only to grope and assault me while I went about my business. He would assault me in the shower and make me sleep completely naked with him. That's not even the worst part. This is where the nail in the coffin comes in and causes me to freak out and spiral. He started squeezing my chest extremely hard in front of his friend, and that hurt and scared me to the core. I didn't know it was assault at first because my brain wanted to deny it. I did research to come up with an answer as to what had happened, and 2 results came up. The first one being sexual coercion, and it wasn't that, because what my ex did was far worse than the description of sexual coercion. I'll put the meaning behind what sexual coercion is for those of you who don't know. Now, with that being said, the final result that came up is what the answer was. And that answer being good old rape. I was in denial at first because it's like, there's no way my boyfriend would do this to me, right? Google is lying. But then I talked to Carnage's friend and he told me it was true. Carnage did, in fact, rape me. And not only that, but I found out he's been doing it for a year without me realizing it. Learning the truth about his sexual abuse towards me is the main reason why I dumped his ass. But that's not even the worst part. I recently graduated high school back in June of this year. And to celebrate, my mom threw me a graduation party at her friend's house. My ex was invited along with me, and so that's exactly what he did. He came to my graduation party. Things were fine until the nighttime. I'm sure you can guess where this is going, but I'm still going to say it. We went to bed that night, and I had a hard time sleeping, so I was half asleep majority of the night. Little did I know, my ex had other plans for us. Instead of sleeping, he decided to wait until I was asleep. Without even thinking about how this would affect me, he assaulted me in my sleep. I was half asleep when he did this, so I wasn't completely oblivious. And the sad part is that he knew my cousin did the same exact thing to me when I was 7. So the fact that he did this to me as well, it's a fucking betrayal. I confronted him about it the following day, and you want to know what he had to say? I wanted to have fun on our last night together before I went back home. I'm sorry, what? That is not an excuse to assault me in my fucking sleep, you pervert. And get this, because it gets even worse from there. Fast forward to last week, I found out something about my ex that I wish I never did. One of his friends came back into my life to talk to me about him. Want to know what I found out he's been telling people? He's lying out of his ass and saying that he never went to the graduation party when he fucking did. I'll provide evidence to prove he was there. Ask yourselves this question. If he truly didn't have anything to hide like he claims he does, more on that in a bit, why would he lie like that? Just something to think about. I told my therapist about it, and she laughed her ass off for 2 minutes straight before looking at me and saying, "Are you serious?" I told her dead ass, and she said he's fucking delusional. She's right. He is delusional. I have photo proof evidence that he was there, as well as video evidence. I'd like to see him try to get out of that one. He's seriously trying so hard not to get caught, and it's honestly cute in a comedic way. However, I'm also pissed because he would lie about this shit. But I digress. With all that being said, here are some final thoughts about the situation. I'm going to summarize his side of the story and prove his side as delusional. He thinks I cheated on him. Guess what, guys? I didn't get into another relationship with anyone until after the breakup with him. That relationship didn't last long, though, because of their own account of actions with me, so that was only a month worth of dating. However, I'm in a new relationship currently, and I couldn't be happier. He thinks I lied about him raping and assaulting me. Let me ask you something, Carnage. As a victim of sexual abuse in the past, where I was assaulted in my sleep at the age of 7 due to my cousin, and being groomed online at the age of 14, why would I lie about shit that you did? And why are you lying about the fucking graduation party? Don't answer me. Just think about it. I don't want to hear your mouth, because it'll all be bullshit anyway that spews out. He's saying and doing whatever he can to cover up the truth, so I'm assuming he's coming up with new bullshit every month or so to save his reputation and image. That's just sad to me. He's so cowardly that he can't own up to his actions and apologize. Not like I'd forgive him anyway. I will never forgive a person like him. What he did is inexcusable, and he has hurt and traumatized me in ways unimaginable. And he has the audacity to say that I hurt him? I tried my best to love him as best as I could. I would never intentionally do anything to harm him. I put up with his bullshit for 2 years. Also, to add on real quickly to the sexual abuse segment of the video, here is some screenshots of him asking to see my chest the first month of the relationship back in 2022. I truly thought he was the one. He promised to fix my view of men, only to make it 10 times worse. He promised me happily ever after. But guess what? There is no happily ever after with a person like you, Carnage. You're the worst person I've ever met, and I hope I never have to see your pathetic face again. You disgust me and my new girlfriend. Yeah, she knows what you did. She hates you just as much as I do. There's no denying what you did to me, and you know that. I hope one day you'll open your eyes and realize the harm you've caused. Until then, I wish you a good life without me, because I will never care about you or love you again. With that being said, thank you for watching, my dear listeners. Remember, stay safe out there, and watch for red flags and romantic relationships you're in, especially when you're young. Take care. I love you all. Tschüss.